Now then, people, good evening and welcome back to the Just Your Football Show. And I've got my good friend, Mr. Gary Devonport, with us, formerly of Talking Shut fame. Hopefully, we'll make this as regular as we can in between Gary's work and whatnot. Gary, how you doing, mate? You good?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, a little bit jaded, I'll be honest. Pretty busy weekend, dotting all over the place, and then obviously taking
Darting
gaming.
again?
So darting again, mate. Yeah. So we're doing a bit of scoring on Saturday night for an event, and then Sunday we went and watched the Yorkshire senior team play Hertfordshire. And yeah, mate. Before I blink, and I'm back at work today. So yeah, busy weekend.
Do you play yourself? Have you had a go yourself?
You can't really call it playing. I can make them stick in the board, but that's a little bit about it. Yeah, no, I'm a bang average player, but Judd's definitely the one with the talent in our house.
Got to be a mathematician as well, aren't you, with darts, really?
When you play, like, bit, mate. Yeah. You can kind of learn. You can like, it's not so much maths, it's kind of learning. Learning your checkouts and stuff. And he's got it to a T now. But like, I'm still socks off, like playing in sliders, so I can use my toes for counting. But good.
What do I need here, Judd? What do I need?
Yeah, I do, mate. I do a lot of that. But he tells me duds when I'm playing against him. He'll say, "Oh, Dad, yeah, start off with like treble 18," and I'll hit it, and he'll go, "No, Dad, I didn't mean that. I meant like single 18." I'm like, "You stitch me."
I love that. Yeah, I like playing darts, but I'm like you. I'd probably, as long as they go in the boards line. I used to play at Yuffie, and it was always go left-hand side of the board because there's higher numbers on the left-hand side. I assume, and that's all I did is just aim foot left, bro. But listen, we're not here to talk darts. We're here to talk Leeds United. What we're going to do is obviously get Gary's thoughts on the game on Saturday, see where his head's at, because everyone I speak to is at a different place. Some at the top end of the spectrum, get him out. Others, well, I'm a bit undecided. So get Gary's thoughts, and then we'll have a look about, the weekend's game and the games coming round the corner, because there's some very tough games coming up for Leeds United. But Gary, let's start with Saturday lunchtime kickoff. 1-0 loss to Burnley.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was on your show. I was lucky enough to be on your show last week, and I mentioned then about I was pretty confident going into the game. If I'm honest, I thought I'd seen enough against Hull that I thought we could kind of upset the apple cart a little bit. And I'll be honest, coming out of the game, I weren't massively impressed with Burnley. I thought they did a good job of what they did, but I weren't kind of looking at them thinking they'll be up there this year, because I just weren't that impressed with him. If truth be told, a couple of individual good players, but I didn't think they were. I didn't think they were world beaters, but obviously they did a job on us. I think the first thing, mate, that stuck out to me, and I'm open to what anybody else thought, is I thought the pitch looked incredibly sticky. It looked to me a little bit long, and I think there were a few passes in the first 10 minutes that just seemed to like amble, and I think it was the same for both teams. Both teams kind of got caught out where it were stuck under a player's foot, and I think also Joseph's chance sort of really early on in game, it seems to get stuck under his feet. I mean, he should do much better than what he did do, and it potentially becomes a little bit of a different game. But he's a young kid, and he's gonna have them sort of peaks and troughs. But that was the first thing. I might be totally wrong, and I texted my mate who were in the ground, and I was like, "Mate, that pitch looks really sticky," and he actually agreed with me. But I couldn't work out if it were like, because I watched it on TV, if it were a bit of the sort of colour making it look thicker than it were. But obviously we had the magic weekend there a couple of weeks ago, and I wonder if they'd let it grow a little bit to try and protect it from sort of rucks and scrums and stuff like that. And again, it's not by any means an excuse.
No,
both teams have to play on it, but it was just the first thing that kind of stuck out to me. After that, it's just, we talked a little bit off air before that, where do you kind of sit on it? And I'm a little bit like on the fence. The thing for me that's a little bit concerning is there appears now to be a blueprint to frustrate us and a blueprint to beat Leeds, essentially. And at the moment, Farke doesn't seem to have the solution when teams come and sit in and make it hard for us and play on the counter. And invariably, they do generally catch us on the counter. And, we are a team that has easily sucker punched, as we saw last year. And I had a quick look before I came on, and the teams who did a job on us last year, very similar statistics to the game that we had on the weekend. So, yeah, really, really disappointing. It feels like laboured football. Like it's a little bit of the handbrake on it. He feels to me like his first game plan at the moment is to not lose the game, but we can't even really do that. And then when we go behind, and teams sit in, we just can't break them down, and it's just too slow and laboured. And the amount of times I shouted on Saturday, be positive and get at somebody and try and make something happen, and we just don't. And I think the first 10 minutes of the second half kind of set the tone where we kept going backwards. Even the wide players, Solomon and
didn't create out in the second,
backwards.
did we?
No, not really. Loads and loads of possession camped at the edge of their 18-yard box, but just so easy to defend against. They just got 5 men behind the ball. They sat really narrow. We've got this habit this year of tucking as wingers in, so Solomon and Nonto come, tuck in a little bit, and essentially made it really easy for them. And then the shots that we did manage to have from distance, Ampadu's, miles away, and Gruev has Warden. Willie, really cleverly, that one at the south stand end gets a little nudge off Josh Laurent from, that's a bit of championship experience that for him, just gives him a little shoulder to sort of knock him off balance. And yeah, just a frustrating game all around, really. I think I am and I aren't quite on the Farke out. I said on last week's show that I thought he should have gone after the playoffs just because of a bit of a clean slate. But at the moment, I'm like, who comes in? Who do you bring in? Some of the bigger names in the managerial game will be looking towards the Premier League now. You look at people like Everton who are floundering unbelievably. If it was a manager like your Graham Potters or people like that, they're going to have one eye on that. We're going to have one eye on a Premier League job, which potentially might happen before Farke happens. So at the minute, because of where we are in the season and stuff, I just kind of want him to find the solution. And like even set pieces, they're dull as dishwater. They're again look so unbelievably easy to defend against. And
what do you put that down to, Gaz? Like, is it the players in the box, i.e. Joe Rodon and Strout can't head a ball, or is it the delivery, or is it just they're not worked on at all?
It's hard to tell, mate, because obviously I'm not, well, I am a very bang average poor coach, but I think at times it's like, it's a bit of both. It's delivery. Rodon, I'm almost thinking about backing him every week not to score. He just, for some reason, he missed a chance.
How can you head it, right, in your defending box, but then at the other end not put it goalward? I can't understand it.
Yeah, and the thing is, mate, as well, if you look at it as an opposition team and you're watching our set pieces for, the amount of time you've been watching them, you pretty much know if you can take Strauch out of the equation, because he's probably our most, biggest threat at set pieces. That's it, really. That's it. We've got nothing really at that point, and
I think something they'll do during the week, innit? Say, right, let's watch some videos on their set pieces. They'll think this is a piece of piss. Yeah,
and I think also like I'm not by any means defending Farke. Obviously, a lot of players have been on international duty. It's hard to work on things. I get that, but that still doesn't really excuse Saturday's attacking attempts in second half. I just think we're a bit naive and we're a bit soft at times, and I don't know. We're a little bit like a really, really Aldi version of Arsenal years ago when they were like obsessed with scoring the perfect goal permanently with little intricate players on edge of box, and then somebody gets in behind and it goes across box and somebody taps it in. We just don't do that though. That's the problem. We're getting into the amount of times that, Bashir Humphries, who gets sent off, is an absolute walking red card from the minute the game begins. He's all over the place. And the amount of times Solomon got the ball and played backwards instead of getting at him. And a lot of times that's because in transition, we're slow to build up. They're able to sit their wingers in, and the winger protects Bashir Humphries. And realistically, he's got no much choice but to go back. But then it goes back, and then it's before we know it's back at Meslier again. And then the crowd gets on the back. It's just it feels negative. For me, at this moment in time, we can talk about Farke in, Farke out. He needs to find a way of solving this problem. He needs to find a way of breaking teams down. He needs to find a way of just being a bit more on the accelerator rather than he's like hovering in neutral a lot of time. We never seem to get out of third ever, period. Like the last time I saw us get out of third, I think we're Norwich in that playoff semi-final where we all probably thought, brilliant, that's it, that's the team. And then Wembley, same again. Very reminiscent of yesterday, really. We shit the bed. Is the job too big for Farke? I've heard that one mentioned a couple of times. I don't know. I'm not the person to answer it, but he's paid a lot of money. He's got a team there that should be better than it is, and it's up to him now to sort it out. And unfortunately, if you don't get it, then there will be questions asked. I just don't think that they'll be in the next couple of weeks, if I'm honest.
You don't think we'll bounce back in the next couple of weeks?
No. I don't think they'll do anything with Farke in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
I don't see him sacking him in the next couple of weeks.
No, there's loads to unpack there. And I know it must be because I know with you guys, or having spoken to you for as long as I have, you're quite level-headed. So it's quite interesting hearing you be, I guess, so downbeat on what you're seeing on the pitch. I mean, for me on the weekend, I put a lot of the onus on the players. I think we have the Joseph chance. He's got to score it. Some have said today, suggested, did it maybe come too early? He didn't have a chance to feel himself into the game. I mean, maybe there is something in that. The Nonto chance, we should have had a penalty, but we shouldn't really have to rely on a referee to win a game of football. The Solomon slip, I think Bogle's defending shoddy. I don't think I've seen a lot of people like maybe misconstrued what people think. I'm not saying run straight out to Koleosho because then the ball is on, but there is a moment where he sort of stutters and by then it's in the back of the net. And outside of that chance, yes, they caught us on the counter a few, but I can't remember any sort of clear cut where they should be scoring from. And maybe if it's a 0-0, yeah, we're probably still complaining, but it's like, right, we've got a point. And having listened to a lot of Championship podcasts today, all the talk is about how well Burnley defended. And I think we just look at Leeds in isolation. I think they actually did a really good job on us, really, didn't they? Scott Parker got it bang on, man. Scott Parker got it bang on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I think he did. I mean, I don't particularly like the guy. I think he's a bit slimy, but But yeah, no, they did a job on us. It were obvious what they were going to do. Sit in, they weren't really bothered about possession because they didn't really have any. But then they got pace to burn on there. It's interesting the Bogle point because I was sat with Judd watching it, and I actually said when the goal went in, they didn't rate much more Bogle can do, and he's been a little bit unlucky because I feel like he holds going to Koleosho while Strauch covers the ground to make it up. And you can actually see him look at Strauch, see that Strauch's back, then he makes the move to go. And he's a little bit unlucky that it goes through his legs and it goes into the net. But, I think the other question would be and I get it, it's a slip and we've turned it over and they're all busting the balls to get back, which is decent. But again, just easy that their right back picks it up off a slip and runs all the way through and scores. There's got to, I mean, again, we talked about it last week with the two double pivots or whatever you want to call them, two older midfielders. I mean, that to me feels like one of them should be sat there in that middle of the pitch just in case it does break down. But again, like I say, I'm not a coach. I don't profess to be a manager. But I think Bogle's becoming a little bit of a lightning rod, and it's easy.
Yeah, there is some of that. I think
it's easy, to get on board with Sheffield United fans who are a bit burnt because he left in the run up to us bidding. It was he ain't leaving. He's the best fullback in the Championship, and now it's a little bit like, well, we told you he were all right going forward, but shit defensively. And I actually said on your show last week, I felt like he'd improved slightly defensively, particularly in one-on-ones and and that type of stuff. And I think it's incredibly harsh to put the blame on him for that goal in isolation. I think he's done as much as he can do, and he's got a little bit unlucky with it going through his legs, to be fair. But
there is a case of that. Like we were having a discussion last night with Jack, and he said he feels the same with Rodon a little bit, that Strauch's getting a free ride because Rodon's not had a great start, so any issues were straight on Rodon, and there probably is something in that. And at the minute, Firpo can do no wrong, and these things happen. You know what I mean? Sometimes you do have to check yourself and think, have I maybe been a little bit harsh? But I thought, like you say, it was, I guess, for some a little bit like Groundhog Day. Now, I'm still backing Farke. That's where my hand's at, Gary. Like I say, I put a lot of the onus for the weekend on the players. I think what we do know though, it's almost, and I don't know where you're at with this, it's almost at must-win territory, because I do think the 49ers backed him, and Angus said on the Square Ball podcast, it was a failure, but we've backed him. I think that means that leash is really short on Daniel Farke this season, and they have backed him. They've given players that, we did have the international break, but you can't be bringing on Ramazani with 10 minutes to go, if that. You can't. These players that have cost a premium. So they'll be taking all this into consideration. So are we in a state where between now and next international break, which is 4 more games, that let's say we've got Cardiff, Coventry, Sunderland, and there's one
Norwich.
more in the
Cardiff,
Norwich.
Coventry, Norwich. Yeah.
Yeah. If he gets 4 points, is that good enough? Because we'll be at next international break outside of the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. It's so difficult with the Championship. I mean, I'm still thinking who runs away with this league. If I'm honest, I still don't see that standout team. You know, Burnley had the chance before they lost a few players to be that standout team. But having seen them up close on Saturday, I weren't overly impressed with them. Like I think if we'd have done what they did to us, sit in, make it difficult, I think they would have struggled to break us down. So they're going to have the opposite effect to us when they start going to places where they're going to have teams sit in and make it difficult for them. And I look at their team.
Well, they did it against Blackburn. I was just been listening to a Burnley fan saying that happened to them against Blackburn and they struggled there. So when the onus is on them, they did struggle. And I think they've actually created one of the lowest XGs in the league.
Yeah.
Of Burnley,
and that's what
proves your point, you know.
And this is kind of where I'm at with, is it a must-win yet? I don't think it is. And I think the Championship's one of them where teams can go on a 5, 6, 7 game unbeaten run, and before they know it, they're catapulted right up there again. And 42 game season, I think a lot of sides, and when we are quite thin as a first team, as a first team squad, if you like. You look at maybe if we get 3 or 4 pretty bad injuries to key players, we might be scraping barrels slightly. But at the minute, no, I don't think we are. But for me, what we need to start seeing in the next few games is an improvement, a change, a way of doing it. And now, is that as it bleeds in the new subs, the new players, and we start to see maybe Gruev come out and maybe Tanaka go in? Does that start to change the dynamic a little bit? Do we see Willie being shifted more into the central? I mean, I was absolutely dumbstruck to see on Saturday, or here on Saturday on BBC Radio Leeds before the game, that people were suggesting to drop Aronson and bring in Ramanzani. I get it; it's a new shiny thing, and we want to see him play. But he's a young kid. He's not really played in England. Granted, he's been at Scum as a young kid, but he's not played any first team football. And Brendan Aronson's had a reasonably good start to the season, and at times
Nonto's the one, Gary. For me,
he was the better player.
Yeah, I agree. I've been saying there seems to be this thing on Nonto this season, whereas I look at that 3 behind Joseph and go, if anyone's coming out, it's him.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, mate, like teams know that we've got quality, so they're gonna do things to deal with the quality. So far, nobody knows what Ramanzani is all about, apart from some clips on YouTube and all that type of stuff. So, but I just feel as well that to give him a bit of sort of credit to a degree, it's really hard to bleed them players in when they've maybe trained 3 or 4 times and shot off on international duty, and like we forget sometimes that these are human beings as well, and they've got to have time to settle in and get to know people, and we don't really know what the characters are like. I know Ramazani comes across as quite confident and all that type of stuff, but he said on the BBC Radio Leeds interview that he was nervous when he came on in the game against Hull. So again, it's going to take time to bleed these in. Do they make a difference? Do they make this side look different in when teams do sit in? I hope so. I just, and again, Bogle is coming for the criticism at the moment, and some of it's just, but again, he's taking time to settle in. I know it's an easy thing to say that, settling in, blah blah blah, but again, the team is a different team to last year. You look at the team that got to 90 points last year. This isn't the same team, and do you know what? I think the thing is, a few people in the comments talking about Nonto coming out. I don't think Farke's scared of bringing him out. If truth be told, he's done it before, and I think he is the type of manager that won't suffer fools gladly. I think had we been 10 more games in and Ramanzani's had a bit more time to come in, then probably he does come in. To be fair, he probably takes him out. And I'm really sort of caught on the fence of what do we do? Show. That's I'm kind of wanting that just to settle down a little bit, get him in, and then I can really start to believe what he's saying in 5 games, for example. Although a lot of people will say it's too late then in 5 games, we could be cut adrift, whatever, that type of thing. That's really the litmus test of, are these signings being good enough, and can he do something about the problems that we've got at the moment?
Yeah. That's the thing, innit? In 5 games time as well, we'll be sat on 10 games, and it gives you a sort of barometer of where where you're going to be at. It's far too early. Like you said, listen, I do watch-alongs and that. Chef Wednesday beat Plymouth 4-0. They were going to win the league. Danny Rowe was better than our manager. Then Sunderland did what they did. Amazing. Then Sunderland have been beaten by Plymouth. And now Corberan. Everyone's Corberan again. And it's like, it changes week on week, doesn't it? Depending on who's won and who's lost, you know?
But if you look like at the middle bit of them statements, a lot of West Brom fans are saying, yeah, Corberan is the best manager in the Championship. They're going to say that. But they're also saying he is defensive. He's defensive minded first. He's minded not to lose first. Like, although he always gets this, disciple of Bielsa and all this stuff.
Yeah.
He was here prior to Bielsa. He came into the first team, and I think at times, probably out of necessity, in terms of, being able to speak the language, that type of thing, that conduit between Bielsa and the squad.
Yeah.
Like, I do think he's a good coach, but I don't think he's the solution to our problem, if truth be told. Yeah. So I don't know, mate. I'm really at that point where I'm just trying to keep a level head, as frustrated as I were on Saturday and as fed up as I were, and seeing the same issues. But we've bought players to try and solve them issues. We now need to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a case of that. And, I was talking with Connor earlier on, and he mentioned a 4-1-4-1, similar to what Bielsa did. We know in pre-season that he played with a back three with Vogt, when he played that back three, but I think he had Debayo, Strauch, and thing. And he spoke after Harrogate about switching things up. But again, he's just gone with a 4-2-3-1 every game. Would you like to see? I mean, the only time we see three at back is when he goes, right, throw every attacker on the pitch and I'll put three at the back. Yeah. But I won't mind a 4-1-4-1. Maybe with just Ampadu patrolling it on his own. With then, I don't know how you feel. Would you like to? If you're the gaffer, what are you doing, Gaz?
Cheers, Joe. Do I get his wage as well? Just out of curiosity.
You can have it, man. Get him out. Gaz out already. He's taking too long to answer. Gaz out.
I think I have to agree, mate. I think I would. I said last week on the show, obviously before the game, so I can say that is a balanced opinion. That the one holding midfielder for me, is plenty, in my opinion. We've got enough legs in the midfield to get up and down. I mean, Rothwell is obviously no spring chicken, but he gets about the pitch pretty well, to be fair. And I just think that if we had Ampadu just sort of sat in there, he can drop in and we can make a three and be three centre halves. Bogle and Firpo have got enough about them to get back, because obviously we're going to push them out.
Why aren't we seeing the right side as much? I thought it'd be more balanced, and we're going left all the time.
I genuinely think the reason we're not seeing the best out of Firpo and Bogle is because of how long it takes us to build up. It's so slow and lethargic. And as well, Meslier, the role he wants Meslier to play, this footballing goalkeeper, he isn't very good at it. We saw on Saturday, first thing he did was kick one out of play. You see a few times, he shits his pants with that little pass inside to Ampadu. So the two centre-halves split to try and take either one of the strikers or the 10 of the striker away with him. And then Ampadu's there to receive the ball, turn, and they've kind of broke the press, or half broke the press. But Meslier won't play it. He shits his pants. He just will not play it. When I went to the Hull game, I was sat in the cop and I'm quite high up so I could see it. And a few times you're directly behind Meslier because you can see the pass. It's on. And he just doesn't fancy it. And the reason why he didn't fancy it because earlier on in the game he'd made a pass and he made an error. And he's just not confident in playing the way that Farke needs him to play to fill in that sort of building up from the back. But at the minute, it takes him so long to kick it out. He kicks it out to either Strauch or Rodon. They then drop it back to the other three man, which is invariably one of the others. By this time, the fullbacks have popped up. The only option then they've got is to try and pop it back into Ampadu, who's normally being covered by this point, or go back to the keeper again. And then we get the same thing, back to the keeper, back to Rodon, back to Strauch, into Groev, back again. It's just too slow. It's too slow in build-up. It's too easy to defend against. And for me, the 4-1-4-1 just might give us a bit of something different, because suddenly their midfielders can't come and sit on Ampadu and Groev because they essentially have almost three men to deal with up the park. Yeah. And I don't know, mate. Again, that's just my very limited knowledge on how I'd play it. But it's just frustrating. I mean, I did a bit of research earlier, and I picked out a couple of games from last season where, in my opinion, we got sucker punched. So the game against Blackburn at home, Leeds, 19 shots on target, 7 off target, 1 shot saved. 75% possession, Blackburn 25% possession. Total shots, Blackburn 3, goals scored 1. Again, look at that, indicates that we had loads of possession. We tried as hardest. We got caught on sucker. Again, Sunderland last year, where we got beat by Joby Bellingham, 1 goal. You know, total shots 12, off target 4, shots 3, shots saved 3. We're just not testing the keeper enough, and this is where a lot of the frustration comes. At we've seen this 4, 5, 6 times now under Farke, and he doesn't appear to have the solution to put it right, and that's what we need from him. It's either the players are too scared to take hazards, and it's almost like they're getting drilled to within an inch of their life to play a particular way, and it ain't kind of letting them be, think for themselves and being a bit sort of, they're so structured and so rigid in the way they're playing. You only have to watch some of the training videos. It's very much patterns of play. It's very much patterns of passing. It just didn't give him players freedom to create things. That's my opinion. And again,
it's some great points, mate. It's
happy to be shot down.
Nice, give me food for thought, mate, to be fair, when you're talking about all the stats. I mean, Peekaboo's put this in earlier. I think this is quite dabbing. Since the last international break of 23-24, we've had 5 wins, 5 draws and 7 losses in all comps, equivalent of 20 points from 17 games with a 29% win ratio. Don't make for great reading. I tried to look at it on a more positive standpoint and say it's 1 loss in 5, Peekaboo. But yeah, that's the thing in it though, guys. The way you can do that. Dominic as well with the super chat says in counterpoint, which was the show earlier. My point wasn't why doesn't Daniel try something different. You meant from the start of the match, not once we're behind, which is fair because we saw it at the week, and I didn't understand the Byram sub, and then he put Gruev in. I think he brought Rote. Do you know what I found quite surprising? And maybe it was just due to the injuries, bringing off Ampadu and Rodan. I thought that was quite a shock. Do you think that was just because of the knock and the concussion stuff?
I think Rodan gone into game with a problem, Manny. I think he said that afterwards. Okay. And I just think as well, I think, Farke's quite again, not level-headed like me, but he's quite level-headed in terms of he'll be looking at thinking they've played a lot of football, they've both got a knock. Ampadu got a nasty kick on leg, which must have hurt because he stayed down and he's not that type of player. No. And Rodon gets a clash on head. And do you know what? He's probably just thinking, we've got a 42-game season. I'll just take him out now and we'll make do for the last bit of the game. We're in control of the game, although we're not threatening a massive amount, but we're in control of the game. We'll, take him out and not risk him kind of going forward. And a party is like, yeah, it makes good sense. But then another party is almost like, but we want to win the game. But 42-game season, long way to go.
There is a very long way to go. We've got Cardiff at the weekend now. Cardiff away. Errol Bullitt apparently might get the chop. They've got 1 point, mate, and conceded 11 goals and scored 1, right? That stinks, doesn't it? It's horrible, isn't it? It's so going away to Cardiff, which is a place we don't do well at. The fact that the manager's got a game to save his job, but 1 goal scored and 11 conceded. You have to win that game, Daniel. I don't care of any hoodoos. I don't want to hear the old where Leeds United we do things the hard way kind of vibe, which is what he says, but you've got to win that game, mate. 1 goal scored and 11 conceded. You've got to win it.
Yeah, there's no excuse for not winning that game, in fairness, regardless of whether they chop him and get a new manager in before then and all that type of stuff. And do you know what? The players are not stupid. They'll know when they walked off at pitch on Saturday, they were disappointed and some of them didn't do enough. And I'm sure they'll want to put things right. And I just, we've got to, it's not a must win in terms of the season, but if you look at what we're playing and you look at how they've started the season, it's got a 1-0 Cardiff win all over it, but it shouldn't do. It just has on it. It's just a very Leeds way of doing 100%. It. But I think you've got to be looking to win that game. Mate, yeah, they would. But yeah, you've got to be looking to win that game. They're a poor side, Cardiff. They have been for a lot of time. They've been treading water for a while. They probably deserve to drop down into League One at some point. But you're right, mate. Absolutely no excuse really for not winning that game. Should have enough in this team to beat them.
100%. Would you?
I was about to say, do you think he mixes it up? Think he changes it?
I was just going to ask you. He's got to Gaz for me. I think Listen, I'm a massive fan of Gruev, really big fan, and I think he's been I think he's been our best midfielder this season, in my humble opinion. But that's I do really like him, and I feel it's harsh that everyone wants to take him out. But having listened to a lot of people, I think the issue, or what I'm getting from what they're saying, is it's not that he's been bad, but he's a 6 playing as an 8, whereas a Tanaka, as a Rothwell, he's more used to playing in advanced areas, so you'll get more out of them. So I go, okay, well, that's a change you can make. And if I'm honest, I think that's the only change he may make. I don't think he'll change the 3 behind Joseph. He won't change Joseph. I don't think he'll change the back line either. Well, he can't change the centre backs, can he? So, do you think if it goes with the same lineup, guy, I think we'll have a meltdown on Twitter if 2 o'clock comes and he's gone with the same lineup. You know, they'll be going, "Fuck, get him out!" even before a ball's kicked.
I agree, mate. Yeah, I agree. His presser on Thursday will be interesting to see who has got knocks and who's fit. I'm going to be really controversial here. I would bring Matteo Joseph out, not by any stretch because I feel like he's had a bad start to the season, but it's just that young lad thing. Just that young lad, just take the pressure off him a little bit, bring him out. You know, we've struggled to score against Burnley. He's missed a couple of decent. He's missed at least one very, very good chance. Just take him out and put Pirro in. Just start Pirro. Just pull Joseph to one side and just say, look, you know, we need to be scoring them goals and like put a bit of fire back into him again, because when we first saw him come through, he was literally chasing dead balls, literally chasing everything. That's kind of gone a bit, and I think that is a game plan. By the way, I don't think that is because he's dropping it. But I just think with a young lad like that, it's a big thing to ask him at 20-year-old to lead that line, and especially if the fans are starting to wobble a little bit. I just think that taking him out, chuck Pirro in, and I know there's a big debate about is he a 9, is he a 9, is he a 10, is he a 10.5, a 9.5, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, he scored goals, he can score goals. He struggled when he came on Saturday, but I think that's just because the substitutions destroyed the flow of the game.
Bad,
anyway.
They were bad.
They were, and but I think he gets a little bit of a rough ride. I think, did he get 14?
14, I think, mate. Yeah, 14.
You know that. You know, years ago, if you think back to like the League One days, you know, we'd have chopped someone's arm off for a 14 goal a season non-starter, which essentially is what we've got in Pirro. Yeah. And I'd just chuck him as a 9. I'd bring Joseph out, and as much as I'd use it as
what if Pat's fit? What if Pat's fit? Would you go that far?
I'd let him hang the shirts up before the game. And he'd probably get injured doing that, in fairness. But now, listen, it's easy to be flippant about Pat, but for me, he has not looked anywhere near it for quite some time. And he can't seem to, he's fallen into that trap of he can't stay fit enough long enough to get conditioned to play football. And whenever he does play football, he gets injured, and it's just like it's like a violent wheel. And I think that's why he didn't include him at all on Saturday. I think he's acutely aware of that. And yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I'd Pirro for Joseph. And do you know what?
A lot of the chat and a lot online say Schmidt for Bogle, but do you fall into that? It's because he's the lightning rod for it.
It's difficult though, isn't it? Because again, Schmidt looks great for St. Gallen, played blah blah blah. But we know nothing about the kid really.
Yeah.
A few YouTube videos. Like it's really difficult to pick this kid up who's just got in and gone, right, he's been playing shit, get yourself in there, go sort it out. And we don't really know what he is, what he does. That, you know, it's difficult.
Did you see Leeds assist at the weekend?
I didn't, mate. No, I didn't.
Beauty. Killed it right. Again. I know. Killed it right round defence. Played striker straight in goal. It was. But again,
you know, go back to the game on Saturday against Burnley. We never put one of them crosses in the box ever. We never gamble. We never gamble and zip it in. We never. I don't understand. Like, as a former terrible centre half, you know, put it in that area between the keeper and the penalty spot. And if somebody don't get on the end of it, the defenders have all sorts of problems to deal with. And we just don't seem to do it. And then for the frustrating bit for me is when we do put it in the box, we just sat it up for Trafford to come and collect. And you just think we've got to be more clever than that. We've got to, you know, I don't know. Like you say, a lot of it's on the players. A lot of it on the players for sure on Saturday, definitely.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you know, we were talking off air, obviously, you know, we want to see more ideas from Farke and stuff. He's got now opposition coming up that's going to play a certain type of way, right? We see Mark Robbins at Coventry last season come to Ellen Road and do that, and I think Callum O'Hare got us on the counter, didn't he? Or
yeah,
was it him? I can't remember. And then, but even I know he's at Sheffield United now, but they've got Hadji Wright, they've got Sims, they've got some very good players that will be able to get us on the counter if we're not careful. So
they did us last time, didn't they? Sims and Hadji Wright. Sims scored first. Hadji Wright scored. Then, if you remember, Pirro got a sort of consolation towards the end of that.
Yeah, and then we're away at Norwich, and then away at Sunderland, man. It's
there's a few people talking about Schmidt in comments, and I agree, totally agree. We don't know anything about him, so we put him on field. I get it, but then we catapult him in now. Never played in England before in his life. We start him at Cardiff. He has a stinker. What happens to him then? Or do we bleed him in? Do we bring him on 70 minutes? You know, good at Bogle, or he can play on either side, I believe, left or right. He plays a winger as well. You know, bring him on 70 minutes when we're in front. There you go. Go and you know, chance your arm, and then start to go right. You know, now it's a realistic thing to challenge them players to take their positions, and then by all means let him. We're not signing. This is the thing. We're in the Championship. We're not signing world-class players who are going to come in and move other players out. It's just it ain't happening. Like Schmidt, regardless of his caliber, and I think he was in the top sort of 10% of like percentile in world or whatever on
I know
like,
what you mean,
and all that type of stuff. You know, he's playing for St. Gallen. We've got to give the kid time, and absolutely, I hope he's a massive roaring success. But it's a bit harsh to just chuck him in and go, there you go, off you go.
Yeah.
Byram, maybe if people are wanting Bogle to come out, Byram's your ready-made replacement.
I thought he was really poor when he came on.
Yeah, it's difficult,
and I'm not used to that because I always think he does a job, but he just looked a little bit off it.
I think they all did, mate, didn't they? They all did, to be fair.
Yeah.
But,
it's I think as well. I think what's compounded with the fan base being so knee-jerk, I think, or even if it is knee-jerk, maybe it's not. But there is we've got to go up this year, haven't we, guys? You know, we've got to, because we've seen what happened in the summer. Imagine another year of it with even less money in the coffers. You'd have no one left, man. You know what I mean? And we're starting again.
Yeah. To be fair, mate, if we don't go up this year, we begin to look like a Stoke. You know, remember when Stoke came down and they splashed a lot of cash, and then they've just ebbed, and we begin to look like a Stoke realistically. But listen, I'm not overly negative. We've got plenty of time. Plenty of games left in the season. I hope all the players that we brought in are a massive success and start to have a real effect. And I hope we can get on that run that we did last year. But I think it's just going to take a bit of time. And I think everything's over to Farke to solve this problem. But also, if the players are not good enough or not doing it for him, he needs to be brave enough to take them out. If they're not fit enough, if they're not if they're not doing the business, be it Nonto, be it Rodon, be it Ampadu, be it whoever our favourite shiny things are, got to come out. Got to come out.
It is over to the manager now because there's nothing we can do about the squad building because the window's shut. But just talking on that, guys, did you have a chance to catch Kinnear's comments with the Square Ball lads?
Yeah, I did.
What did you make to it? What's your overriding thoughts?
I think the first thing you've got to remember about Angus, and having interviewed him myself a couple of times, he is a very, very clever guy who he's very, very good in the way he words things. And as I said on last week's show, when we interviewed him, he came and there were no questions off limits. There were, but he's got a very good way of answering things and a very good way of sort of leveling things out. And
politician vibe.
Yeah, a little bit of a politician vibe. And ultimately, mate, he wouldn't be in that position if he didn't have a little bit of politician vibe about him.
And he's worked at Arsenal, and he's worked at West Ham. He's worked at some top,
Yeah, and I think I always try and listen to what they're kind of like alluding to. And I think he alluded a little bit in one of the comments that maybe some of the signings that happened last year weren't for him to kind of stop. I got the feeling that he was hinting that he was into...
Hang on, we've lost you. Just while you were giving us the right, you're there. Right, go again.
All right,
you're back.
Yeah. I got the feeling that he was hinting at that Orta probably had more power on signings last year than he had the ability of. But I get his point in relation to the 10 and can we go out and get someone better than Aronson? And players don't want to play in the Championship; they want to play in the top divisions, and that's what looks like's happened with Roland Salai. It looks like, you know, all along he's known he's going to go play in the top division in Turkey and probably in Europe and all them other things that go with it. But I don't know, mate. Somewhere between what Angus said, what Angus has talked about, and everything else will be the truth, somewhere around there. And you know, and football clubs are incredibly like precious of what information they allow out, and you know the way that it looks. They're very savvy on how things will look. One of the most disappointing
even more
things
so
for
this group, even more so the 49ers, to what
So,
we're
like,
used to anyway.
Yeah, one of the most disappointing things for me with the club, and when we were doing Talking Shut War, they were subliminally telling us to push the line of don't come to the ground if we get promoted because of COVID,
it was horrible,
and all this type of stuff. And we didn't go, if you remember.
Yeah, same. I was told
the
the same. I was sat at home. Yeah.
And then lo and behold, they knew full well what they were doing. That's really, really disappointing for me. And it's I don't know. It's hard to kind of know what's true. So there's a lot of sensible stuff that he talks about, a lot of business acumen and all that type of thing. But that's not what fans want to hear. Fans want to hear, why aren't we signed a 10? Why did we put, and the explanation around Gus Armour about putting 30 million in for him and just kind of seeing the lay of the land, would they be happy with that and all that type of stuff? I get it, because that's how football works. And sometimes I think, particularly on Twitter and stuff, we're guilty sometimes of thinking that football is Football Manager or FIFA, where you've got suddenly X amount of money, just go out and buy that player for X amount of money and they're a worldie in your team. There's obviously a lot more to that. And that's not an excuse. I still think that not getting a 10 in Leeds United and all this talk about all the big pull and all this type of stuff, I still think that not getting a 10 when we wanted a 10 and when Farke wanted a 10 while we've got money in the bank is poor. Yes, but I also can understand, you know, from a sensible point of view, what he's talking about.
And you can say as well, guys, yes, we could have got a 10, but Farke still has more than enough, at least till January. That's the thing, innit? And that's probably why the club have looked at it and gone, well, he's got Aronson. We'll assess it again in January because he should be having enough with this lot, really. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, you look at it and you go, right, so any other team in the Championship, does Brendan Aronson go into their starting 11? Probably. Does Willie Nonto go into the starting 11? Probably. Does Manor Solomon go into their starting 11? Probably. Look at Burnley at weekend. They've got Jaden Anthony, who couldn't get in our team last year.
Exactly.
Manor Solomon kicks him out. There should be no excuses. There's enough in this team. There's enough in this team to do what's required to at least get us to January. And then the rhetoric then at January will be that January is really hard to buy and we can't get players in January and X and Y and Z. So yeah,
I don't want that. I'm already on Jan, because someone said to me, "Where are you at with 49ers?" I went, "Oh, they've got some stay of execution, but as soon as January 1st hit, I'm on them."
Do you know something? Like, we have got, for me, the right owners at the wrong time. Had we had the 49ers under Bielsa, I feel like it'd have been a different outcome. Whereas we had Radrizzani, who, to me, it felt like when it got into the Premier League, it was more about him than it was about the club. He wanted to say, I'm the owner of a Premier League club and all them other things, but he didn't really have the finances to take us any further than that 7th finish.
He wanted all the adulation and that.
Exactly, whereas if you look and go, had we had the 49ers, who've got business acumen, football acumen, you know, and I think that they will in the Premier League have the financial clout to bring players in that we need to keep us up there. But it was like, wrong owners at the right time. Jack Wood mentions Red Bull Bielsa, but I'm not talking about Red Bull. I'm talking about the 49ers. And I just think right owners, wrong time, right manager, wrong owners, vice versa type thing. But
and listen, as much as I'm critical of the 49ers, I do believe that when we do get into the Premier League, we'll have a much better fist at staying up and actually being sustainable. And, you know, because once we get up there, we should stay. Like, it pains me watching, say, Aston Villa at the weekend batter Everton, and I'm thinking, when we finished 9th, they stayed up on a technicality. Yeah, and now they're in the Champions League, and we're still in the fucking. It's horrible, man. It makes me sad, bro.
There's also that thing, mate, as well, of like, if you remember, after the 7th finish, it was, Europe next, Europe. We should have never been Europe. It should have been buying players to secure us Premier League status. And it should have been Radrizzani being bold enough to go, I can't take this any further. I'm selling to the 49ers now because they
yeah.
might be able to take it further. But it got to the point where he was, he was just, I think it was just, adulation, and I've done this, and I think he got
100%.
kind of wrapped up in it.
I bet he loved, like, what do they call it, like shaking hands with the other elite in the Premier League, all that vibe, all that, that comes with it, I guess, as owners of football clubs, rocking.
I agree, mate. Yeah, but
stadiums.
But again, it's not a million miles away from us to be able to do it. We just got to get out this godforsaken league again, and it's not easy.
Yeah, no, you bang on. Just before we finish up, I did get this lovely T-shirt sent, guys. What do you make to it? It's a beauty, isn't it?
Yeah, sweet. From Tampa Bay. Nice.
Yeah, Leeds United, Tampa Bay, and he wanted me to just give a shout out to the Tampa Bay Whites, who meet at the Studio Public House in St. Petersburg. Nice. So yes, go check them out. He sent me a small, and I'm he sent me a large and a medium. I'm a large. Guys, are you a medium or?
Well, I've been training a bit. I think I struggle, mate. Being almost 6'3", might look like a belly top to me. So
there is a medium here. So yeah, but this
maybe
one
a
shows
gift
on the.
Maybe a gift giveaway, mate. Gift giveaway.
Yeah, I might have to give it away because I'm not getting in a medium anytime soon. So I'll have to sort that for someone. Guys, give me a score prediction for Cardiff. Their must-win game. Got to get back on the winning train. What are you saying?
Score first.
Yeah.
Win 3-0. As in score early, win 3-0. Don't score early, win 2-0. Score once, force them to come out because fans will get on the case and then score again towards the end. A little bit like Hull, to be fair. But yeah, that's what I'm going with, mate. 3-0 if we score early, 2-0 if we don't.
Yeah, I think 3 as well. We need to. I'm hoping that Errol Bullock don't get the sack. I just hope that, because I can't be dealing with a new manager bounce down at Cardiff,
What about Warnock? One last
someone, I think it might have been Sean, a regular viewer, and I went, don't say that, because if that happens, you can write off a win. You can just write it off straight away.
It's got it written all over it on it, but yeah. Mate, just one shout out from me, to be fair. We'll talk about darts earlier. My son plays in Bridlington this weekend in the British Open, the British Classic, and the British Youth. So good luck to him.
Good luck.
We'll be fit in the Cardiff match in between games and sets.
Do you get many turn out, mate? Do you get like many watch it other than the parents?
Yeah, mate. The standard is ridiculous, if truth be told.
You get any Dutch coming over? Or,
yeah, mate.
Dutch are mad for it, aren't they?
Yeah. So Judd's played people from Malta, Holland, Belgium. I think he played a Portuguese lad once as well. So yeah, but no, the competition Judd's playing in on the weekend, Luke Little won it last season. There we go. The standard is ridiculous. There's some top players.
What's his name? What's his name, Gaz?
The Juddernaut.
I like it, mate. Does he have a walk-on track?
It does, mate. And believe it or not, it's caused a bit of chaos in our house because it's high predictor right by the Kaiser Chiefs. So he started walking out to that for Yorkshire Youth. And then the Johnny Come Lately Luke Humphries has stolen it as his walk on now. So Judd's quite annoyed at the fact that Luke Humphries now walks out to what Judd claims is his walkout, not Luke Humphries.
I love that. Imagine.
So Luke, if you're watching, you need to change it back, mate, or just send Judd some darts or something.
Can you imagine Judd makes it, and then they're like, "Oh, did you follow this over your hero, Luke?" And he's like, "No, mate, I don't think so."
No, he had it first. That's his claim. But in all fairness, good luck to them all. And if anybody's around in Bridlington on a weekend, it's in the Spa. It's a really good day, really good event, and come down and watch some darts, some top players as well for free, essentially.
Yeah, there's a lad, Boss who watches my channel, who's Seasiders TV, lives in Brid. He's a Bridtown content creator and a Leeds fan. So if you're watching Boss there you go. You can go and watch the darts and go cheer on Judd and Gaz. I think we'll leave it there then, folks, and hopefully Gaz will have some time next week. If not, we'll find another the week after. Let us know in the comments. Show your love. Smash a like. Subscribe. I think I'm speaking with Joe tomorrow lunchtime-ish, so I'll probably see you then. But enjoy your evening, folks, and we'll see you next time.